They were the few, the band of brothers who took to the skies to defend the country against Hitler's Luftwaffe and what would have been Nazi subjugation. In March 2025, we lost the last of them, 105-year-old John Paddy Hemingway. During the Battle of Britain, he was one of nearly 3,000 Royal Air Force pilots who took on the Germans in Spitfires and Hurricanes, our most iconic fighter aircraft. It was the Spitfire, that beautiful result of British ingenuity, that pilots spoke of as if it was a living being.
Famously, you put a Spitfire on and you wear it.
So we're here at the Imperial War Museum's Duxford Aerodrome in Cambridgeshire. During the Second World War, it was from here that Britain's most iconic fighter aircraft, the Spitfire, was flown. From here, aircraft piloted by the likes of the legendary ace Douglas Bader and his comrade Brian Lane went into combat. The first version of the Spitfire, the Mark I, entered service at Duxford in 1938. Designed by former locomotive engineer R.J. Mitchell, it was the first all-metal monoplane, and with a top speed of more than 350 miles per hour, it was the fastest aircraft in the RAF.
Although it's 80 years old, it doesn't fly like that. It flies like it's, brand new. It is a phenomenal aeroplane. It's got a V12 engine. It's liquid cooled. It uses fuel very similar, slightly higher octane, but very similar to what you'd put in a petrol car. And it's got an awful lot of power. Speed-wise, this, in level flight, happily fly at 250 miles an hour down near sea level. If you go up higher into the thinner air, it'll go much faster.
It was in action from the start of the war in September 1939. By the middle of the following month, it had got its first kills, 2 Junkers 88 bombers over the Firth of Forth. It quickly garnered a fearsome reputation. German pilots who got shot down would claim to have been bested by a Spitfire, even if they had not been, because it was less embarrassing. As the war progressed, so did the Spitfire.
Marks of Spitfire and the German equivalent kind of kept leapfrogging each other during the war. And if you compare a Mark I Spitfire at the beginning of the war to, say, a Mark 14 at the end of the war, there's just vastly different aeroplanes.
The last iteration, the Mark 24, which was introduced after the war, had more than 2,000 horsepower and a top speed of 450 miles per hour. Plane's weaponry was continuously upgraded too. Cannons came to pack a much greater punch than those original Brownings. But the plane was not just lethal and powerful, it was beautiful too. Enthusiasts will speak lovingly about its elliptical wing. Every day during the 4-month-long Battle of Britain, dozens of Spitfires and Hurricanes flew into action from Duxford, either to engage the likes of the Messerschmitt 109 or to take on bombers such as the Junkers 88. Douglas Bader, who would later be shot down and captured, led the controversial Big Wing, where up to 5 squadrons of fighters, so nearly 60 aircraft, would fly together in one big formation. The Big Wing was regarded as messy, complicated by RAF chiefs, but it symbolised the importance of Duxford to Britain's mission of defiance. By the time the Nazis carried out their last daylight raid on October 31st, 1940, the milestone that marks the end of the Battle of Britain, more than 500 fighter pilots had been killed. Those brave men were of course lionised by Winston Churchill in August 1940, when he said, "Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few." Now, 80 years on from the end of the war, I've been given the unbelievable chance to go up in this specially adapted 2-seater version of the aircraft. I've got my sick bag in my pocket, which I'm hoping I won't need.
Yeah, that was almost on my limit there.
And I'm hoping we won't be doing any loop-the-loops or barrel rolls.
That's your parachute, put it in the parachute. Don't worry about it, you're not
And you're not jinx it, please.
You should be able to communicate just through your helmets.
Push to talk, okay.
It's amazing how quickly the aircraft gets into the air. Have you still got your hands on control? I do, yeah.
Flying in a Spitfire, one that saw action in the Second World War, was truly breathtaking. I already had a lot of respect for the brave men who fought in these aircraft, but getting the chance to take to the skies myself made this reverence all the more real. I could not help but feel a little bit guilty, because there are many enthusiasts with far more knowledge than me who would give anything just to sit in a Spitfire, let alone fly in one. As G-forces barreled into me with each twist and turn, my pilot Paul Bonham reminded me that we were flying at this aircraft's minimum. 80 years ago, the pilots of the RAF were having to contend with a murderous enemy whilst manoeuvring on the limit.
I was sitting on my own parachute in case the worst was to happen, beyond anything that I could have done in my life. I got the chance to take the controls. I must admit, I did feel a bit queasy at times, utterly breathtaking.
Duxford finally closed as a military base in 1961. In 1976, it opened as a museum. Today, it attracts hundreds of thousands of visitors every year.
So here at Duxford, there's 2 air shows a year, one in the summer and one in the autumn. And on a good weekend, they can get 50,000 visitors coming to see not just the planes in the sky, but the various attractions on the ground, the stationary aircraft, the shows that are being put on. Later in the afternoon is when the planes go into the air.